This time in Yerushalmi Pesachim in the article Otzva edition we're on Daf Ayin Zayin Amud Aleph, and we are in the fourth line down. Haynasimina Modis, with name Kodom Shos, and in the Vilna it's about 11 lines down. It's opposite where it says Gilin Hashas in the right hand margin. Haynasimina Modis with name Kodom Shos. You were from inside the area of the Asiyas of the Derech Choka Limited Korban Akiva, which is Modius, 15 mil from Yerushalmi, before 6 hours. Yotzlo Kodem L'Sheshos, but you left that area before 6 hours, which is the time the Shechita Korban Pesach. Yochel Chayav, you're going to be Chayav because you were there and you left the area. Tamar v'chadal la'asos. No, it says chadal la'asos, somebody who desists from doing. So hachadal b'shas asiyah, somebody who desists at the time of doing chayav, he's liable. Shelo b'shas asiyah, if it's desists at a time which is not the time of asiyah, he's potter. So here, at the time of asiyah, he was outside the tchum. Why beforehand it was in the tchum? Doesn't matter. That it goes by the time of asiyah. Time of asiyah, he's not desisting because he's not within the zone where he's supposed to be in order to come to Yerushalayim. Rabbi Avoh b'Shem Rabbi Yochanan said Shneim, both of them, Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Akiva in our Mishnah. The Mikra Echad Hein Darshan, they darshan the same pasuk. Now in the Gemara itself, it says Sham Sham. I'm guessing the article does not change it here. No, he said he does not. But we're going to change it like the Korban Eda, Richuk, and let's read we'll read the Korban Eda in a minute. Richuk, Mar. One says Chutz Asiyah, so it's outside the place of its performance, which is Yerushalayim. Mar Chutz Asiyah, outside the place of its the place where its boundary, its walls, which is the place of its achila, of its place where the b'chitzah between which might be eaten, which is Yerushalayim. Now, of course, in the Mishnah, Rabbi Akiva said Modius. He didn't say Yerushalayim. But we're assuming that somehow Modius is like an outer boundary relative to Yerushalayim, as opposed to Lezer says right outside the Azara. So let's see the Korban Eda. Says I Pesach der Choka, but I'm Sheni ki chak micha mokum. Man malas kubas azar yalif malalam by Meiser Sheni. This way by Meiser Sheni, it's chutz mokum hechshero. It's outside the place of its hechsher shel Yerushalayim, which is Yerushalayim. That's where Meiser Sheni has to be eaten. Afkan chutz mokum hechsher shel ba'azar. It's also it's outside the mokum of its kashus of its avodah, of its performance, which is the azar. Man chutz Yerushalayim shel mokum achiloso. Man holds its Yerushalayim, which is the place where you eat the Meiser Sheni. Afkan chutz Yerushalayim, so to outside Yerushalayim shel mokum achiloso Pesach, which is basically the Pesach. So again, you're looking at both of them look the same psukim. Questions when learning from Meiser Sheni, learning from the Meiser Sheni as a performance, and the performance is Yerushalayim, but here the performance is the base. I'm just looking at outside the outer limits of the place where it can be. I guess the mechitza, well, I don't guess, but the mechitza of the outer limit of the Meiser Sheni is Yerushalayim. The outer limit of the Korban Pesach is also Yerushalayim, but again, have to configure that to work with Rabbi Akiva, because Shita, which didn't say explicitly Yerushalayim, no, he said Modi'is. So therefore, you have to say that it means that the place in proximity to Yerushalayim. It's a little bit difficult. And the Mepharshim don't give a mahalach which is that smooth. So the next one is pretty cryptic, except that Yerushalmi Pesachim this is a question. And in order to understand the question, you have to understand the two psukim in the Parsha Pesach Sheni. The first parsha says that more ish kiyet hamil nefesh obederach chokolachem jusichem osa Pesach laHashem. So that's the first pasuk. It then does mention derech choka. The next pasuk yud, parak tes pasuk yud, and pasuk gimel though it says ish shel hutor v'derech lo haya. So the Yerushalmi calls the first pasuk as hora, the warning. I guess because it's the prelude to the discussion. Second pasuk calls the onesh, the punishment, because that's in the Koris is mentioned. So the question is, it doesn't say rechoika in that second pasuk; it just says derech. So how are you making a gzer shava richuk? Right, so that's the question. Right, okay, so he says we learn that here the person is excluded from the onesh if he in the derech. But say thing about richuk, so where's your gzer shava? Right, it does not mention that pasuk. So Yerushalmi Pesachim says, yeah, but Shumaz here, when he gives that hora, Humaz Kircheka, does mention Kircheka. Ukshu Oines, now here it says Ones, in the film now Aleph Vav Nun Samach. I bet it says in the article, no, in the article is changed it without any warning. Changed it to Onesh. Okay, well, it says it explicitly here. So the unfortunately change it to Onesh. And it doesn't say onish in the onish, the punishment, in the chorus. It doesn't mention that it's rechoka, but in the asara, in other words, that previous pasuk is mentioned, so you can make the zero shava from the previous pasuk. Now going back to Rabbi Yossi in our Mishnah, at the end the Mishnah said that now, Rabbi Yossi Shita had been that's outside Skopa, outside Zara, like Rabbi Elazar. But now the Gemara is going to say how Rabbi Akiva darshans. Of Rabbanan Amrei, when there's more ksav than the kudos, such as here where the rochok has a kudos and only the hair is a kudah, Dorish has a ksav. You darshan ksav, Masalik is going to move the kudah. V'shosh the kudah Rabbal Aksav, when the kudah is Rabbal Aksav, then and the case is brought down in Brachus Rabbah, where this is also this discussion appears, is Vayomer Elav Hayesar Ishtecha, and the word Elav, so when they said to Avraham Avinu, where to start your wife, there's Nekudas on the Aleph, Yud, and Vav, and not on the Lamed, and they darshan that to mean that Avraham Avinu, it's like they ask Avraham Avinu, where's Sarah? They also ask Sarah Ayo, where's Avraham Avinu? So we darshan the Aleph, Yud, and Vav. So b'shak nekuda Rabba Aksav, adoration nekuda Masalik Aksav. So there you adoration nekuda and you Masalik Aksav. So always and there's you look at whatever is more and you darshan that. So here where the hay has nekuda, you take that off, and so it says rachok, and rachok means kipshuto. In other words, far away, outside Modius. Okay, so the Rebbe and the Panch is like the Pnei Moshe. The Rebbe is not going on our sugya. He's just saying a general principle about dashing the Nekudos. But there is a Gersa Brachus Rabbah Rabbi Yossi, and we'll come back in a second. But first, the son is Rabbi Abishen Shem Nekuda Achas Milamalon Adoshin Skulim B'Kasag Saksav. You know, there's only one Nekuda in the word. You dash in the Nekuda. Always dash in the Nekuda. Don't go for the Ksav. Right? So the whatever that means. Okay, obviously there's but for purpose of drasha, you dash in the whatever the dots are, whether it's majority of the word, the minority of the word. So the article says a cute chap here. He says that, and he doesn't bring down the Gersa Rabbi Yossi, but it would be it works out very well with the second shot carbon Ada. He says that it's really going over here. And Rabbi Yossi is saying that you darshan the hay here, and even rachok hay, even if it was 5 amos away, outside of Skupas Azara, that already is a considered to be derech hachoka. So that would be if it says Rabbi Yossi. The last line of Gemara, it could be it's a third approach. It's Rabbanan, another Rabbanan. And it could be it's good Rabbi Elazar. According to the Pnei Moshe, though, we learned yesterday, it says that this is actually all like Rabbi Yossi speaking the whole time. So, and it's not going like a second shot of Carbon Ada. Hey Shabarchoka Nakud Ishwacho Vein Derechochoika. Right? So the Heisha Rechoikas Nokud, to teach us that in Ish Rachok and Ein Derech Rechoikas, that that's the person is distant, right? Even if there is not Rechoika, if he's outside the Zohar, that's enough to pater him from Koris. It sounds like it's a separate drasha because he's not really darshan Nakuda. It's much more like Tanakam, like the first Rabbanan, right? He's saying that just look at the Rachok, but it's not going Rachok. He's saying if it said Rachok, it'd be going on the derech. Since it says Rachok, it's going on the person, not on derech, but on the person. So so it doesn't sound like it's a continuation. It sounds like it's a third shita, not like the Pnei Moshe, who said in the Mishnah that it's going on. That is the Pshat Rabbi Yossi, but then again, if it was before it was Rebbe and not Rabbi Yossi, this could be Rabbi Yossi. Yeah, why not? Right. So Rebbe is the one who said that you always dash in the letter which has Nakuda, and that's a separate shita going Ba'alma. And this talking about going back to Rabbi Yossi here in our Mishnah is that the drop the hay in order to teach you the Rachok. So again, if you hold that the second shita is Rabbi Yossi, so then this would be possibly going Rabbi Eliezer. And going back in a different way of dashing Chupas Hazora by dropping last name. If you say that the previous statement is Rebbe, so then Rebbe is going elsewhere. And now this is talking just not like the second shot, that's like the Rachok Hay, dashing the hay. But it's saying elsewhere. It's not talking about simply our person. And then we're coming back, and Rabbi Yossi is saying that, how do I know Chutzah because of the way I said it's similar to Rabban Kama, but I darshan said Rachok, meaning literally Rachok means Rachok going on the person, not Rachok going on the derech. Okay, Halacha Gimel. Ma'aben Pesach Rishon Sheni. What's the difference between Pesach Rishon Pesach Sheni? Harishon also b'chol ba'irua by matzah. Pesach Rishon not allowed to have any chametz. But Sheni chametz and matzah in my bite, allowed to have chametz and matzah with you in your house. Rishon tono hal b'chilos. The first Korban Pesach requires halal when you're eating it, but Sheni ain't tono halal b'chilos. The second one you do not have to say halal when you're eating it. But they both require halal when you're doing the korban. They're both eaten roasted on matzah and mor. V'doichen es Shabbos, and they are doichen es Shabbos, as the Pnei Moshe says. We darshan even pay sheni doichen Shabbos, but not tuma, because the whole point of it is that it comes on. How can it push off tuma? That's the whole point. Okay. At the beginning of the Gemara here, there's a Torah Or, which has a reference to Shmos, Yud Beis. That's a mistake, because it's about Pesach Sheni. So it's not that's only, of course, in the Vilna, I'm sure. In the article, it's fixed. Yeah. And Torah Shalom brings down from Bamidbar test by Pesach Sheni. L'shim mera boker b'etzel lishbubo chupas habesach yasu oso. So, Siv l'shim mera boker. Now, the next word, everybody has very grave difficulty with. Im le'achol is a mitzvah say shtei shabbat. What does that mean? If to eat it, that's a mitzvah say. What do you mean? We're talking about Neusar here. What is that? So, the passage is like Reb Chaim says in the article, it's going at the end of the pasuk. And the question is not about the beginning of the pasuk. It says, the end of the pasuk says, like all chukas HaPesach should do it. So, see, if it says Yilashim Mera Boker, Betzim Yilashim Boker Pesach Yasu also. What's chukas HaPesach Yasu also? What does it teach us? Im lechol. If the tell you you have to eat it, so mitzvah seishabo. It's already the mitzvah say in the previous pasuk. It already said Amasus Maram Yochlu, right? So that's stated. Etzim Lo Seishabo Bos and mitzvah seishabo. You talk about the mitzvah also. Say also they're explicit here. Etzim Lo Seishabo also. So kukas haPesach yasu also, right? So if it says chukas, so when it says chukas haPesach yasu also, can it mean? And again, perhaps you have to change the gears to put these words before. at the top. I don't know, but in any event, it works out. So maybe it means chokus Pesach, mean including all those things, which was basically including beer chametz achilas matzah for 7 days. It says matzos meroim yochlu hu. That's it, right? So it specifies it's only these things. Obviously, we could have just said chokas apesa. We decided to say matzah meroim yochlu. There's only these things that are necessary, not any other phenomena of Pesach Rishon. Now, I think the next 2 lines might need a little bit of introduction. It says in Pasuk Ches, not Pasuk Ches, Pasuk Yurav, Amatzah Yachlu, and then Pasuk Yudbeis, it says Chachol Pesach. So I might say it's a klal of prat. I'm being a prat of klal, and the klal is much on the prat, right? Because prat is Matzah Yachlu, and then it says Chachol Pesach also. But even though they're muchakim zeh, they're not that adjacent to each other. The Gemara says no, don't think that way. It's a klal of prat because it says Yasu Oso, which is a klal, and then it says Amatzos Mamiyachu, which is a prat. So Ein Lecha B'Chlal Mashim B'Prat. Rabbi Shmuel. It says so. Shmuel Amar Klal Prat Kol B'Chlal Yochi Kol Dvarim Aknoso. No, because it's prat afterwards. Tamar Matzos Mamiyachu. Ein Lecha Davar Chutz Migufa Makva El Matzos Marim Bilvad. So the only thing which you need besides the gufa carbon is matzah morim. So again, the question is what chukas haPesach coming to tell us. So the final analysis, the Gemara doesn't come up with an answer. Or it doesn't have an answer. What is chukas haPesach also teaching us? Okay, so it doesn't have any. We don't have a logic derivation from that part of the puzzle. Okay, we go on to another issue here. Tani. Those who learn al sheni onush koris, al rishon eno onush koris. They'll say on Pesach Sheni chayav koris, but not on Pesach Rishon. Then Tani, those who learn al rishon onush koris, on Pesach Rishon chayav koris, al sheni eno onush koris, the exact opposite. But Tani, and those who say bein al rishon bein al sheni onush koris, chayav koris on both of them. So in the lighted manuscript, the girsa is each time Ben Arisha Ben Sheni Potter. Ain't on those chores, you're not going to have chores unless you're mazing on both. Okay, so there's not a glot girsa, but it works out. So we have machlekes here. What do you have to be mazing on the chayav chores? So what are you mazing on? Do you maze on Rishon, even though you weren't mazed Sheni, maze on the Sheni, even though you weren't mazed on the Rishon, or you have to be mazed on both in order to be chayav koris. Okay, man Rishon orish koris. The man number says that if you were mazed and missing Pesach Rishon, you're chayav koris. Cheto Yisah says the words Cheto Yisah, which it says by Pesach Sheni, are going on Pesach Rishon. Okay, Cheto Yisah Barishon. Man Sheni onush koris. You chayav koris if you're mazed on Pesach Sheni. Cheto Yisah is Sheni. That's going on Pesach Sheni. That's the chet which you bear, which goes mechayiv b'koris. Man ben rishon ben sheni. Again, according to the lighted manuscript, it's supposed to be eino onush koris unless you're mazed on both. Cheto Yisah ben rishon ben sheni. You have to be mazed on both or to be chayav koris. Okay. Man sheni. Now the person who holds your chayav koris because you were mazed on sheni, eino onush koris. Is only chayav koris. Is not chayav koris. Elkin lost chas rishon. Let's didn't make Pesach Rishon. That's a very strange statement. So I like the Yerushalmi Pshuto's explanation here. He says that really you have to the man of chayav and sheni also is holds if you were shaykh to Pesach Rishon, you have to be mazed on both of them or to be chayav. But so the only nafkamina is if somebody was not chayav Pesach Rishon. So he was he was a katan shehig deal during Sfira Sa'omer, right? Or so in that case, he could be chayav on koris even on Pesach Sheni by itself. Okay, so it says means if you were shaykh to Pesach Rishon, you have to make then you have to be mazed on both. But if you weren't shaykh to Pesach Rishon, then you chayav koris on not having done Pesach Sheni. Of course, the other man, the Amar, holds who says you had to be mazed on both. Holds that no, if you were cut shitil or Gershon's guy during Spira, then you still put Makaris, because you had to have been chayev on Pesach Rishon in order to be and Mazid in order to be chayev Koris. If you put on Pesach Rishon, then you can't be chayev Koris just on Pesach Sheni. So again, the machlekes is whether a person was put on Pesach Rishon because he was a katan or was a goy at the time, and he's only going to is he chayev for Koris just then for Pesach Sheni, or no, since he was exempt Pesach Rishon, he's also not chayev Koris on Pesach Sheni. Okay, now the Mashbiach says that we really have a piska here, going over to oh, not yet. Sorry. No, in the middle of the sentence yet. Parishon, since the Korban Hashem, he didn't bring in the first the Pesach Rishon Cheto Yisov Hasheni. So again, everybody agrees that if he was shy at the Pesach Rishon, then only if he didn't do Pesach Rishon Amazing, then he's Cheto Yisov Hasheni. But the only question is where he wasn't shy at the Pesach Rishon, can he be chayiv also on Pesach Sheni alone? Now we have a new part of the Mishnah going on why only for Pesach Rishon is chayiv halo. The halo should be for you on the night, first night of Pesach. Pesach lamed amaplot shel cheriv. This the night of Pesach, right? It comes to teach us that about the downfall of Sancheir, meaning that you're supposed to say hallel for the night of Pesach, and similarly, you're supposed to say hallel on the night of Pesach for the mapol of Sancheiriv. So, so the again, Baal Pesach and we learn the reverse actually. So we say ma zeton hallel zeton hallel. So just like the mapola of the Sancheiriv requires hallel, so too Leil Pesach requires hallel, but not Pesach Sheni. Because evidently the Pesach on the night of the Hallel on the night of Pesach at the time of the Achila is linked to Mapal of Sancheiriv. But Sancheiriv only happened once on to Nisan, not on to Iyar. So therefore, we don't do Hallel b'Shas Achila twice. Okay, so Ima Zeton Chagiga of Zeton Chagiga. Okay, what about Chagiga? Korban Pesach Rishon requires Chagiga to Nechol and so, but what about Pesach Sheni? Rabbi says Zira Kalelis Kadesh Chag. From the same pasuk we learn since there's Chag, Lashon Chagiga. So therefore we learn from the same pasuk as well. Eshu Ton Halo Ton Chagiga. The night which requires Halo, which is only 2 Nisan, that requires Chagiga. Shein Ton Halo, to Iyar, should not require Halo. Ein Ton Chagiga. So the Gemara now makes the point which Moshe makes in the Mishnah. It says in the Mishnah, Doichas Shabbos. So the Gemara asks a question, but Doichas Tuma, should we push up to Tuma as well? To Shabbos push up Tuma. So Marta Kotzman Abel Medina Tuma, Anta Marta Doichas Tuma. The whole reason Pesach Sheni comes is because it's because of Tuma. How is it going to push off Tuma? Okay, we'll check to see it's interesting. Learns Dochas Tuma is from a Brisa. Perhaps like paying Moshe, that Dochas Tuma is a question, like we just said. Okay, that brings us to the end for today. So we'll stop here, of course. Actually, the end, I should say, brings us to the end of the Omer of Ein Zayin Ron Beis. So stop here.